So the House just passed that slimmed down spending bill to avoid a government shutdown at the last second, but there were some changes made, some negotiations. Let's see how it ended up. Yo, welcome back, guys. Glad to have you. Yo, let me know what you guys think. Were we right to avoid a government shutdown and pass a spending bill at the last second? Should we have let the government shut down while Democrats were in office? Maybe give us a little bit of extra negotiating leverage? Let me know what you guys think about the whole environment, how this is playing out, or what you guys think about these big omnibus spending bills to begin with. I'm interested to hear from you. We got Speaker Johnson breaking things down for us, introducing things to us. I'm sure he's pleased with himself. Let's see what he has to say. Yo, guys, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell. I appreciate you guys.
This was a necessary step to bridge the gap, to put us into that moment where we can put our fingerprints on the final decisions on spending for 2025.
The 118-page package funds the government at current levels through March. It also has $100 billion in disaster relief and $10 billion in assistance for farmers. What it does not include is a debt ceiling suspension, something President-elect Donald Trump demanded as recently as Friday morning, telling Republicans never to make a deal without it and saying if there's going to be a shutdown, let it begin now under the Biden administration. Democrats praising the deal past Friday.
House Democrats have successfully stopped the Billionaire Boys Club, which wanted a $4 trillion blank check, by suspending the debt ceiling.
It just comes across as majorly hypocritical to me to hear that coming from a progressive Democrat. Okay, I'm just like sure, I like the rhetoric, but it just seems like it is really opportunistic for them to be using that kind of rhetoric right now. Although, you know, I'm not a big fan of the $4 billion blank check, but what kind of damage are we trying to repair? You get what I'm saying? I feel like there's nuances in there to go over. Now, we got another news article kind of breaking things down because that was not too much information. Let's see what we got over here.
To avoid a possible government shutdown, the bill has now been sent to the Senate, where it is expected to pass. It will then head to the president's desk to be signed into law. News 4 Tucson's political specialist Eric Fink is live tonight at Tucson International Airport with more on what all this means on a very busy holiday and the season. As
Why is he reporting on the federal government from an airport? I don't know. It's just random as hell to me.
we look ahead, Eric, it came down to it very close. It looked like we were going to see a shutdown, but seems like there's light at the end of the tunnel now.
Yeah, it really does, Sean. This all happening within the last few minutes in Washington. The House of Representatives passing that stopgap bill, that funding bill that will fund the federal government now through mid-March. It includes $100 billion in disaster aid and $10 billion for farmers. It does not include a debt limit increase.
Where's that disaster aid going? Because I don't trust it. I don't trust it going to FEMA. Is there? I would like to see some sort of system to get that out to some of the people that were actually on the ground helping out in North Carolina. You know, and maybe to like state governments, right? Because Florida was doing a great job. You know, and there were a lot of people volunteering and stepping up in North Carolina. So I would like to see disaster aid distributed not to federal agencies because FEMA, what were they even using it for the whole year before, right? I mean, the way that so much of that disaster aid funding had been provisions that were used for some of these sanctuary cities or what was it? Aid to people coming in with asylum claims and stuff like that, and then they didn't have nothing left for people when it came time. Dude, that's not okay. I don't trust them with that money anymore. I think we should distribute it differently.
Increase, that is something that a debt ceiling increase, rather, that's something that President-elect Donald Trump wanted. That is not in this temporary funding bill that will go through mid-March. Now, the reason we are here, in addition to the holiday travel, is that certainly TSA employees, 59,000 TSA employees, they work for the federal government. They are essential workers. Now, they would have stayed on the job here, but they wouldn't have gotten paid.
All right, he's just trying to justify why he's standing in the middle of the airport. Whatever, dude. Okay. All right, buddy. All right. And so let's see what made it in and what is and is not in the in the new agreement. All right. The House approved the greatly slimmed down spending plan Friday evening, just hours before funding is set to collapse, which would shutter the federal government. The Senate is expected to take up the measure shortly. The latest version of the package comes after President-elect Donald Trump torpedoed a bipartisan agreement struck earlier in the week. Dude, the bipartisan agreement that had censorship provisions, that had drone regulation provisions for civilians, when we all know that y'all are out there searching for dirty bombs and stuff like that. Don't try to play games and try to use that stuff to limit our rights out here and our freedoms. Come on, man. Are you kidding me? Screw that. Y'all had so much extra stuff stuffed in there, and you're gonna try to be like, it was bipartisan. It was bipartisan. That's the bandwagon fallacy. Don't fall for the bandwagon fallacy when they try to use that on you. Everybody agrees. Are you not gonna be like everybody else? Oh man, what they're trying to do is they're trying to appeal to your sense of tribalism by lightly implying that you will be ostracized as an other for having an alternative perspective. Don't ever do that, all right? As someone who's experienced social ostracization in my youth, it's not what they pretend it is, man. It's not a punishment at all, okay? When surrounded by fools, the best path is a path of solitude, all right? Don't ever let somebody use the bandwagon fallacy to manipulate you, man, ever, all right? Let's see. The current proposal would fund government through March 14th, setting up another spending showdown in the early days of the Trump administration. Republicans will control both the Senate and the House come January, but the party will have slim margins in both chambers. The package also retains billions of dollars in disaster relief sorely needed by states hit harder earlier this year by two major hurricanes. Here's what else is in the bill: more disaster aid funding. The latest spending package would provide about $100 billion to help Americans recover from multiple disasters in 2023 and 2024. The funding is in line with roughly $100 billion top-line requests from the Biden administration in November. Some $29 billion would replenish the federal emergency management. Oh man, yo, yeah, FEMA, all the money that we were just talking about that a minute ago out the wazoo. Oh man, come on, they didn't have nothing when it came time to need it. Oh geez, in October. Oh no, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I said don't give it to FEMA. Oh my geez, dude. In October, FEMA rapidly spent $9 billion of a $20 billion infusion from Congress responding to hurricanes Helene and Milton, and then they were empty, and then they were out. Oh no, that's because they were out, right? The agency also had to handle wildfires, floods, tornadoes this year, as usual. The federal data shows costly disasters are now happening more frequently. That is absolutely not true. I have an article, all right, talking about environmental modification, all right, and manipulation of the environment and weather, and I have a video on it too, actually. It's called "Environmental Modification is Real." If y'all want to look up the video, talking about government admissions and all that stuff, and in the article it actually gets into how it's manipulating our weather patterns and what's going on in our weather patterns. Okay. But and I'm not saying it's a conspiracy that people are doing it. It's cloud seeding to generate rain in deserts, and there's different things that governments are doing it because they see a benefit to it for their people. It's not like some sort of radical conspiracy that I'm referring to, but at the end of the day, it still has a negative impact on and imbalances our weather systems and our environment. So I still think it's absolutely not good. But y'all look that up, man, because that weather modification stuff is real. I straight up is real. And if you think that it's conspiracy theory, just read the articles, guys, and go to the read more section, because I mean it's been admitted by governments all over the world and in publicly published in newspapers all over the world so many times. So economic aid for farmers. The bill includes $10 billion in economic aid for farmers, one of the latest sticking points in negotiations earlier this week. Lawmakers from agriculture-focused states have argued that help is desperately needed as U.S. farmers are facing lower commodity prices and higher costs for supplies. The spending agreement also includes includes a 1-year extension of the Farm Bill, a sweeping package that governs many agricultural and nutritional assistance programs. Typically, the bill is renewed every 5 years, but most recent version was passed in 2018 and the extension lapsed at the end of September. Maryland bridge funding. Under the bill, replacing the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Maryland would be fully funded by the federal government. Legislation would also allow the U.S. Treasury Department to recoup money from any settlements related to the bridge collapse and help pay for the rebuilding. A cargo ship. So what do they? So they had to pay people out because of injuries or damages or whatever because the bridge collapsed. And so now they're just going to take the money back from other constituents. Oh, that's fuck. Yo, that's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. Oh, we'll just take the money from taxpayers here to pay the taxpayers we effed up over here. Oh, man, whatever, dude. A cargo ship crashed, causing it to collapse and severing access to critical shipping routes in and out of the port of Baltimore. 6 workers on the bridge. Yo, rebuilding the bridge could cost between $1.7 billion and $1.9 billion, according to an estimate released by the Maryland Transportation Authority earlier this year. The funding agreement also includes an extension of a pandemic era measure that expanded telehealth and Medicare. Senior citizens and Americans with disabilities will be able to get care via telehealth since COVID-19 pandemic began in early 2020. Eligibility for the service was broadened beyond just those living in rural areas, and seniors have been able to conduct telehealth visits at home rather than having to travel to a healthcare facility. What are you talking about? What are you talking to Medicare? I thought so. Medicare didn't cover. Wow. That sucks. Okay. Yeah, definitely. I don't understand how just more money is going to do that. That seems like a policy change. I'm not. Okay. Debt ceiling extension. GOP package that failed Thursday would have suspended the debt ceiling until January 30th, 2027, addressing Trump's key demand from his Wednesday evisceration of the original deal. Instead, Republicans are looking at including the increase of the debt ceiling in the future package next year. This is what I'm not understanding. I want to hear a good argument as to why the increasing the debt ceiling is necessary right now, and why it would be genuine, real economic stimulus to raise the debt. What does government borrowing more money do for government to be able to improve the macroeconomic factors in our economy rather than just slapping a Band-Aid on stuff and pushing things down the road? So that's what I would want to see. I want to see a real argument. I did not see that in any of the tweets or anything I saw from Trump regarding raising the debt ceiling. All right, what I saw from him was we like the talking point that raising the debt ceiling is a Democrat thing, and so we want the Democrats to do it, but it's really a part of our plans. And so I'm just like, look, I do trust the guy to know a little bit more than me regarding the economy, right, and how to improve it. I like to do my research, but I'm not an expert, right? But I want to hear something that involves some serious logical reasoning, because as it sits right now, I'm not the biggest fan of that idea. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, man, yeah. Look, the way I feel about all this is still not good enough to me, man. All right, I want single issue bills. All right, and I show you guys this PDF all the time, right? With the single issue bills or whatever, right? I'm just gonna let Matt Gaetz explain, because he does it a little better than me, why I think single issue bills are a really good idea and the number one fix to all of this. Why don't we just let him explain it?
And finally, I would observe something that has really worked well in the state of Florida: a single subject rule. A bill coming to the floor should only deal with one subject. I was incensed as a freshman when I had to vote on the Farm Bill and whether or not to authorize war in Yemen in the same vote.
Can you argue with that? Can you argue with this idea that you've got to combine aid for our domestic economy with supplying money to continue foreign wars? No, man, that should be voted on separately. That's ridiculous. And so then now the opposition party, whatever party you're in, whatever the opposition party is, right? Now the opposition party can say, hey, oh my God, you voted for this, you funded a war. You didn't vote for this, you didn't help the people in need in our own country. What kind of game is that? What kind of game is that? No, man, I'm tired of these games. I'm tired of these people using this rhetoric to manipulate us, man. And this is part of it. This system is part of it. This is how they do it. This is how they sneak stuff in. Just like those drone regulations we were talking about. Apparently, I read somewhere else, censorship and stuff they were trying to push in. Dude, come on, man. This is too much, man. And he's making a great point.
And we can still have broad bills that relate to insurance or education or appropriations, but the notion that we lash all these things together does not serve our constituents and the American people. Our vision is for a House of Representatives where all of the members are empowered to represent their constituents, to have a real voice on matters of appropriations. And I think that's important given the fights that we have ahead with the Biden administration over spending.
And we're not asking for crazy things. We just want to pass appropriations bills separately. Single subject. Yeah. The requirement that every bill address a single subject and that the appropriations bills be considered separately, not just as one up or down vote. So you got to vote for the troops and keeping our military funded right alongside funding some of these woke agencies. McCarthy has drawn a red line and said no to our demands that every bill on the floor adhere to a single subject. The reason that's important is because we don't want matters.
Screw the people like McCarthy in this corporatist system, man. These people, man, and I know they're not all evil. Some of them are actually good people that are like, hey, I came in here because I'm willing to accept a level of corruption while I try to ease the burden on the American people. And they see themselves as being a stopgap, right? But dude, stop maintaining the status quo, man. Dude, it's time for some real change. All right, the people are tired of it. Look at the economy. All right, look at the value of the dollar. Look at inflation and wages since the early 90s, dude. For a while, wages were increasing with inflation, and it flipped in the early 90s, and they stopped. Actually, I think it was the late 80s, but for a minute they were increasing with inflation. But dude, this is not the move, man. This has happened for so long. This has gone so far. The real wealth that people have to be able to use and distribute, dude, it's not what it was, and it's getting to the point where people are gonna start doing stuff about it. And I'm not talking me. I'm not making any. No, I mean, if you study society, right? I have an article called What Men Want, because we all talk about incels, right, and all this stuff, right, and these people like, well, dude, this is a symptom. Like, that whole culture, that whole community of people is actually a symptom of us failing to meet our constituents' needs. All right, we should not be looking at that and laughing at these people and feeling like sure, whatever, you might feel like they're embarrassing themselves, whatever. Okay, I might not even disagree with you on that, but dude, it's a byproduct of how our society and our economic systems and our social systems are not meeting the needs of a group of people that create the functional base of productivity. All right, so it's a serious symptom that should be approached from an engineering and systems thinking standpoint as a byproduct of, whoa, what is going on? Because this is not sustainable. And I think that at the crux of stuff like this is our manipulation by government and our governments being able to stick whatever they want in these bills in some opaque system that creates a relationship between the ruling class and the money class that then promotes this neoliberal corporatist environment that creates a classist atmosphere where now we have the haves and the have-nots, right? And the have-nots are being cast aside and ostracized, right? And that is going to collapse Western society, guys. That's not sustainable at all.
Log rolled together so that each issue in legislation before the House for consideration doesn't get the scrutiny that it deserves, doesn't get the focused debate that results in better public policy. You would think that Republicans, Democrats, everyone would want single subject, but Kevin McCarthy has said no.
The principal goal of the people who are objecting to Mr. McCarthy on the Republican side is that we don't believe the rules of this place unlock the potential of all of the members to be able to cast votes on individual bills and to offer amendments on appropriations acts.
We got concessions that
really were being rejected as early as Monday when it comes to being able to read legislation.
Yo, is he wearing makeup right? I bet you Fox News, they did that. They put that all over his face for the set, man. That's just not, that's not a look, dude. Look at this. This is what what is this line right here, man? Come on. Is it really worth the foundation to have this line right here? I'm just, okay, look, I'm not, don't, look, look, I'm not judging nobody. All right.
72 hours before its adoption, individual appropriations bills, and ultimately what we negotiated ensures that we will never again have a circumstance like this omnibus spending legislation, because bills will have to comport to a single subject. There will be germanity requirements on amendments, and so it's going to be an open process, a transparent process. I'm thrilled at where the House of Representatives.
Yeah, except it didn't happen. But anyway, guys, that's the solution. That's what I think, and that's why I think it's actually a real big issue, a real crux of the issue. And I think in order to actually get something like this done, we need to remove money from politics. We need to remove this. We need to seriously reform our lobby system, and have some serious level of transparency and accountability that we don't have right now. That's what I think. So anyway, guys, hey, thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the next segment. Oh, I forgot. Please click something. I appreciate you.